What is pareidolia? Why do we love it? And why do we hate it? Let's find out right now on What the Fetch. Hey Weirdos, I'm Grant. Remember lying on your back as a kid, looking up and seeing shapes in the clouds? When you saw a plate full of tater tots peacefully gliding through the sky, it wasn't actually a plate of tater tots. How depressing. But why did we see a plate full of tater tots when it was really just the clouds? That was our mind trying to find a familiar pattern in complex data. That was pareidolia. Pareidolia, sometimes called matrixing, is our mind's natural ability to find familiarity and patterns in complex data. It is extremely useful. It's what helps us appreciate artwork, even down to the tiniest level. You see, if I write my name, you can read it. And if my wife Rihanna writes my name, nice. Well, it is very different. You can still read it. Pareidolia is what is allowing you to understand that that and that are the letter A, even though in reality, they are very different shapes. If our brains didn't use pareidolia, we'd have to relearn every single person's handwriting, every single person's letter A, every time they wrote it, because it would be written differently every single time. In fact, just about every time you saw someone, you would have to re-meet them, because without pareidolia, even the slightest change in someone's appearance would make them look like a completely different person to you. And instead of saying, wow, you've grown up so much, you'd have to say, who the heck are you? Because you wouldn't be able to recognize them. But even that might not work, because any subtle change in your voice would make it sound like you're speaking a completely different language. So, like I said, pareidolia is very useful. But when it comes to searching for evidence of the paranormal, it can become the biggest bane of a paranormal investigator's life. I've had hundreds, if not thousands of people demand I look at a picture of their dead Uncle Fred, only to have them pull up a picture of a smudge on a window. Or they promise to show me a picture of a ghost of a Native American, only to pull up a picture of some leaves and branches. Now, with the aid of pareidolia, I have seen demons standing in flames, angels in the clouds, and the face of God on a piece of toast. And now you have too. You're welcome. But no, not really. While I did see those shapes, those things weren't actually there. These poor people were victims of their own hope or fear. And of course, pareidolia. The tricky part is when looking for paranormal evidence, we need to simultaneously use and ignore pareidolia with conscious precision in a tenuous balancing act. We need to be able to spot clues in hard-to-find places while at the same time not being distracted by false positives. It's tricky, but here are a couple of tools you can use as your first line of defense. Substance. Ignore what your mind is telling you and try to take a good look at what the anomaly is actually made up of. Is that really a ghost sitting in front of your pile of dirty laundry? Or is that just your dirty laundry? Why are you taking a picture of your dirty laundry anyway? If the potential paranormal anomaly is made up of the same material as what's behind it, then there's a high chance you're making something out of nothing. Like if you stare too long at the knots in wood paneling, you might see a good boy. But if the anomaly is standalone and made up of something in front of the background, then it's worth a closer review. Proportion. Does the proportion of the anomaly make sense? While in the movies, the faces of ghosts stretch or distort, in my experience, the proportions remain intact. And knowing proper proportions can really help weed out the garbage. That photographic anomaly of dead Uncle Fred couldn't be him, thank goodness, because it's only 4 inches tall. Or his neck is 3 feet long. Just like that couldn't really be a bunny in the clouds because it'd have to be 2 miles tall. Ah, pareidolia. And it's not just visual, guys. It works in other ways, too. There's auditory pareidolia. Have you ever been vacuuming, or running water, or enjoying the cool breeze of a fan, and then suddenly thought you heard a voice or singing? This is auditory pareidolia. Your mind can only handle noise pollution for so long before it tries to make sense of it in an attempt to not go insane. It's trying its best to apply meaning and familiarity to a complex noise. Now, this is part of my problem with devices like the Spirit Box. We're forcing our mind to try to make sense out of a bombardment of noise pollution. Now, there are ways to decrease the potential of pareidolia using a Spirit Box, and that's mainly by using the Estes method. That's another video. Then there's olfactory pareidolia. Olfactory? That's right, we can't even trust our noses. Often on an investigation, people will smell flowers or perfume, or cigarettes, cigars, or smoke. These phantom scents may be due to olfactory pareidolia. You see, when the mind gets a complex combination of odors, it tries to automatically separate it into friendly or harmful. This could then be interpreted as flower for friendly and fire for harmful. Interesting, isn't it? Our minds are experts at making sense out of nonsense, so much so that they can become our worst enemy. But sometimes by simply knowing your enemies, you can defeat them. Essentially, you'll see what you want to see. If you want to see a ghost, you'll see a ghost. But if you want to find the truth, well then, you just might find that too. But what about your mind? Has it fooled you before? Leave a comment down below and let me know about your epic self-dupe. Please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing with all the friends you found in the clouds and wood grain. And click that notification bell so you know when I make a new video. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Stay weird.